So let us begin by substituting the limiting value of x, that is 2, into the given function. So that gives us 2 squared minus 5 times 2 plus 6 divided by 2 squared minus 4. So 2 squared is 4 minus 10 plus 6 divided by 4 minus 4. That gives us 0 over 0, which is a indeterminate form. So what we have to do, we have to now factorize it. Factorize both the numerator and the denominator. So that gives us the limit x approaching 2. Now we can factorize the numerator by splitting the middle term. So the factors of 6 will be 3 and 2. Now we're going to use the factors to split the middle term, and that will be negative 3x minus 2x plus 6. X squared minus 4 can be written as x squared minus 2 squared, so that we can use the identity a squared minus b squared. So that gives us limit x approaches 2. We factor out x from the first two terms, so that leaves us with x minus 3. Then we factor out negative 2 from the third and the fourth term, leaving us with x minus 3 divided by x squared minus 2 squared. So we use the identity, and that should give us x minus 2 multiplied by x plus 2. So limit x going to 2, we have x minus 3 multiplied by x minus 2 divided by x minus 2 times x plus 2. So we factor out, or we cancel out, x minus 2 from both the numerator and the denominator, and that leaves us with limit x approaches to x minus 3 divided by x plus 2. Now we're going to use the limiting value, and that should give us 2 minus 3 divided by 2 plus 2, which is equals to negative 1 over 4. So here we have when the limiting value of x approaches 1, then we have to find the value of the function x cubed minus 1 divided by x minus 1. So we begin by substituting the limiting value of x, which is 1, into our rational function. So that gives us 1. The cube of 1 is 1, so we have 1 minus 1 divided by 1 minus 1, which is equals to 0 divided by 0. Then this is in the indeterminate form, so we have to factorize the numerator here. So factorizing the numerator should give us limit x going to 1. So x cubed minus 1 can be written as x cubed minus 1 cubed divided by x minus 1. Now we're going to use the identity a cubed minus b cubed is equals to a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. So using this identity, that gives us limit x approaching 1. We have x minus 1 multiplied by x squared plus x plus 1 divided by x minus 1. So we have a common term in both the numerator and the denominator, so we can factor them out, leaving us with x squared plus x plus 1. Now we substitute the value of x equals to 1 into a function, so that should give us 1 squared plus 1 plus 1, and that is equals to 3. So we have to find the limiting value of the given rational function when x approaches 2. So let us begin by substituting the value of x into the numerator, and that should give us 2 cubed, which is 8, minus 3 times 2 squared, which is 4, plus 4, divided by x to the power of 4. So we have 2 to the power of 4, which gives us 16, minus 8 times 2 squared will be 4 plus 16. So that gives us 8 minus 12 plus 4 divided by 16 minus 32 plus 16, which gives us 0 over 0. So this is the indeterminate form. So we see that when x approaches 2, so this is giving us an indeterminate form, so we can say that x minus 2 is a factor that is common to both the numerator and the denominator. So that means we need to get rid of this factor x minus 2 from the numerator as well as the denominator. So what we will do, we will divide each of the polynomial function by x minus 2. So let us begin with the numerator. So we have in the numerator x cubed minus 3x squared plus 4. We know that a polynomial function, a cubic polynomial, has 4 terms. Since we have 3 terms here, so that means one of the term, which is x, that is missing here. But we can rewrite this as x cubed minus 3x squared plus 0 times x. So this is the term that is missing, but we can rewrite it as 0 times x. We say that the coefficient of x is 0 plus 4. Now what we're going to do in order to divide this cubic polynomial by x minus 2, we can perform either the long division method, or there is another way which we are going to do it, that is called the synthetic division. You can try doing the long division as well. So here I'm going to try out the synthetic division method. So what we have to do in synthetic division, first we consider this cubic polynomial and write down the coefficient, the constant coefficient in the increasing order of x. So beginning with x cubed, the constant coefficient is 1, followed by the coefficient of x squared, which is negative 3. Then we go on to the coefficient of x, which will be 0, and finally the constant coefficient, which is 4. Now what we are going to do, we are going to perform a division, and we're going to consider the value 2, which is the limiting value of x. So we put this number 2 in a little box right next to the number 4. Then we're going to draw a straight line, and then what we're going to do, we are going to first drop the value of 1. We'll begin with this particular value. So here what we are going to do is we are going to consider this number 1, and we are going to multiply it to 2, and the product, we will write the product here in this particular location. So let us do that. So 1 times 2 gives us 2, so we are going to place here 2 below negative 3, and we are going to add the values down the column. So negative 3 plus 2 gives us a negative 1. Then we're going to continue with the process. Now we are going to consider negative 1 and multiply it to 2. So that gives us a negative 2, and we're going to write it below 0. Now we add the values down the column. So 0 plus negative 2 is going to give us negative 2. And we do the same process. So we have negative 2 times 2, which is negative 4, and adding down the column gives us a 0. So this 0 says that upon dividing the cubic polynomial x cubed minus 3x squared plus 4 by x minus 2, we have a remainder of 0. So this will be our remainder. So we don't have to consider this. So the first 3 terms, so the first 3 values actually are the coefficient of a quadratic polynomial. So that means when you divide the cubic polynomial by a linear polynomial, then we get a quadratic polynomial with coefficients given by 1, negative 1, and negative 2. So we have 1 times x as x, then negative 1 times, this will be x squared, so 1 times x squared, let me write it down, plus negative 1 times x and negative 2. So this is the quadratic polynomial that we will get. So that means we can, so upon dividing x cubed minus 3x squared plus 4 by x minus 2, so we'll have this factor x minus 2, and this will be multiplied by the quadratic polynomial x squared minus x minus 2. Now what we can do, since this is a simple quadratic polynomial, we can further factorize this by splitting the middle term. So that will give us x squared. So negative x can be split as negative 2x plus x minus 2. So the negative 2 and positive 1 was obtained from the factors of our constant coefficient, which is negative 2 here. So that gives us x minus 2 times, so we're going to factor out x from the first two terms, so that gives us x times x minus 2 plus 1. We're taking 1 as the common factor, that leaves us with x minus of 2, and we have x minus 2 times x minus 2 times x plus 1. So this is the factor, these are the factors, x minus 2, x times x minus 2 times x plus 1. These are the factors of our cubic polynomial. Now let us erase this. So x minus 2 whole squared times x plus 1 are the factors of the given cubic polynomial present in the numerator. Now we move on to the denominator. So we have in the denominator a biquadratic polynomial. So biquadratic polynomial is a polynomial where the highest power of x is 4. So here we could rewrite the biquadratic polynomial as x squared whole squared minus, so 8x squared can be written as 2 times x squared. So we need to multiply by a number so that it becomes 8x squared. So we will multiply it by 4. But we already have a 4 here, 16 here, so 16 can be rewritten as 4 squared. So now this can be simplified and written as x squared minus of 4 whole squared, because this is an identity. So it's the identity a squared minus 2ab plus b squared is equivalent to e minus b whole squared. So we have x squared minus 4 whole squared. Now we can further factorize x squared minus 4. So that will give us x minus, so we have x squared minus 4. Now 4 can be rewritten as 2 squared. So we have x minus 2 times x plus 2 squared. So that gives us the value, the factored value of x minus 2 whole squared times x plus 2 whole squared. So we have the factors of the denominator. So let's rewrite it. So now we will recalculate the limiting value of the given rational function. So we have now limit x approaching 2. So the numerator will be now x minus 2 squared times x plus 1 divided by the denominator, which is x minus 2 whole squared times x plus 2 whole squared. Now we can cancel out the common term from both the numerator and the denominator, and that leaves us with limit x approaching 2 x plus 1 divided by x plus 2 whole squared. Now we're going to use the limiting value of x. So we have 2 plus 1 divided by 2 plus 2 whole squared. So that is 3 divided by 4 squared, and the limiting value of our given rational function when x approaches 2 is 3 over 16. So we have to find the limiting value of the given rational function when x approaches 2. So the first thing that we need to do is substitute for the value of x. So we have 2 cubed, which is 8, minus 6 times 2 squared, which is 4, plus 11 times 2, that gives us 22, minus 6, divided by 2 squared, so 2 squared will be 4, minus 6 times 2, which is 12, plus 8. So that gives us 8. So 8 plus 22 is going to give us 30, minus 6 times 4, which is 24, minus 6, divided by, so 4 plus 8 gives us a 12, and we have a negative 12. So we have a 0 in the numerator and also a 0 in the denominator. So this is an indeterminate case. Indeterminate case. So what we have to do, we have to factor out the common factor that both the numerator and the denominator has. So clearly this x approaches 2. So from here only we can say that x minus 2 is the common factor. Is the common factor in both the numerator and the denominator. So we have to get rid of the factor x minus 2. So we have to divide each numerator and the denominator by x minus 2. So like the previous problem, we are going to use synthetic division to divide the numerator because that is a cubic function. So let us do that. So we already have x cubed. So let's write it down here. X cubed minus 6x squared plus 11x minus 6. So we have all the 4 terms here. So we can write down the coefficient. So our coefficient will be 1, negative 6, 11, and negative 6. Then we take the value of x, which is 2, and then we draw a straight line. Pull down the value 1. That should give us 1. So 1 times 2 is 2. The result will be written below negative 6. We add down the column, so that will give us a negative 4. So negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Adding down the column should give us 8. Negative 8 will be positive 3. So 3 times 2 is positive 6. So we're getting a 0 here. So the remainder here is 0. And this the first 3 values, 1, negative 4, and 3, are the coefficients of the quadratic polynomial. So we'll have 1 times x squared. So that will be simply x squared minus 4 times x plus 3. So that means our cubic function is now a product of x minus 2 and the quadratic polynomial x squared minus 4x plus 3. Now x squared minus 4x plus 3 can be further broken down. That means we can further factorize it by splitting the middle term. So we'll have x squared. So we have 3 times 1 is 3. So we'll use 1 and 3 to split the middle term. So we have negative x, negative 3x plus 3, which gives us x minus 2 times x is factored out from the first 2 terms. So that leaves us with x minus 1. Then we take negative 3 as the common factor, leaving us with x minus of 3. So finally we have x minus 2 times x minus 1 times x minus 3. So these are the factors written in the product form. These are the factors of the cubic polynomial which is present in the numerator. Let's rewrite it and I'll get rid of all the extra work that we have done here. So now we're going to factorize the denominator. So that is a simple quadratic polynomial. So we have x squared minus 6 plus 8. So this can be factored by splitting the middle terms. So the factors of 8 will be 2 and 4. So we'll use those factors to split the middle term. So we have negative 2x minus 4x plus 8. So the factors will be x times x minus 2 minus 4 times x minus 2, and that finally gives us x minus 2 times x minus 4. Now we substitute the factorized values into a rational function. So we have limit x approaching 2. So the numerator will now become x minus 1 times x minus 2 times x minus 3 divided by x minus 2 times x minus 4. So we cancel out the common term, which is x minus 2, the common factor from both the numerator and the denominator, and that leaves us with limit x approaching to x minus 1 times x minus 3 divided by x minus 4. Now we substitute the value of x with 2, so that gives us 2 minus 1 times 2 minus 3 divided by 2 minus 4. So 2 minus 1 will be 1, 2 minus 3 will be negative 1, and 2 minus 4 will be negative 2, so that leaves us with half. So this is going to be the limiting value of our given rational function. So here we have a rational function whose limiting value we need to find when x approaches half. So first we are going to do a direct substitution by substituting the value of x with half. So we have 8 times half cubed minus 1 divided by 16 multiplied to half raised to the power of 4 minus 1. So 8 times half cubed gave us 1 over 8 minus 1 divided by 16. So half raised to the power of 4 gives us 1 over 16 minus 1. So that gives us 1, because 8 multiplied to its reciprocal is 1. So we have 1 minus 1 in the numerator, and similarly we have 1 minus 1 in the denominator. So that gives us an indeterminate form. So that means we have to get rid of x minus half from both the numerator and the denominator. So this is the common factor. So x minus half can be rewritten as 2x minus 1 over 2. Here the constant half is not going to be a problem, so we can rephrase and say that 2x minus 1 is a common factor in both numerator and denominator. So now we are going to rework with our rational function in the given limit. So we have 8x cubed, so that can be rewritten as twice x whole cubed minus 1 divided by, so 16x raised to the power of 4. So we know that 4 squared is 16, so we have 4x squared whole squared minus 1. Now what we're going to do, now we are going to use the identity. So here 1 also in the numerator can be written instead as 1 cubed, and the 1 in the denominator can be written as 1 squared. Means the same thing. Now we're going to apply the identities that a cubed minus b cubed gives us a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. And the identity a squared minus b squared is simply equals to the product of a minus b and a plus b. So let us use that. So this is going to give us, this is equals to limit x going to half. So we have 2x minus 1 multiplied to, so 2x squared, so 2x whole squared is going to give us 4x squared plus 2x times 1 is simply 2x plus square of 1, so gives us 1 divided by, so we have 4x squared plus 1 multiplied to 4x squared minus 1. Let me get rid of this identity since we have already used it. So what we can do, we can further factorize 4x squared minus 1 present in the denominator. So we'll have limit x going to half twice x minus 1 times 4x squared plus 2x plus 1 divided by 4x squared plus 1 So 4x squared can be written as twice x whole squared, and 1 can be written as 1 squared. So that we can apply the identity a squared minus b squared, and this gives us limit x going to half times 2x minus 1 multiplied to 4x squared plus 2x plus 1 divided by 4x squared plus 1 times, applying our identity, we have 2x minus 1 times 2x plus 1. So we can get rid of the common factor 2x minus 1 from both the numerator and the denominator. And that should give us limit x going to half. So we have 4x squared plus 2x plus 1 in the numerator, and in the denominator we have 4x squared plus 1 multiplied to 2x plus 1. Now we are going to substitute the value of x with half, so that should give us, we have 4 times half squared plus 2 times half plus 1 divided by 4 times half squared plus 1 multiplied to 2 times half plus 1. So we have 4 times, so half of square of half will be 1/4 plus 2 times half will be simply 1 plus 1 divided by, so we have 4 times half plus 1 multiplied to 2 times half will be 1, so we have 1 plus 1, which finally gives us 1 plus 1 plus 1 in the numerator divided by, so 4 times half 1/4 will be 1, so we have 2 multiplied to 2, so that gives us a final answer of 3/2. So this is going, 3/4. So this is going to be the limiting value of our rational function, which is given by 8x cubed minus 1 divided by 16 x raised to the power of 4 minus 1 when x approaches 2. So our value is 3/4.